Because suffering can be a part of God's plan for our lives. If we submit to Him, the good days and the bad days, lahat po yan na isasama, na inilix ng Panginoon to mold us to become the person that God wants us to be, leading to Christ-likeness. Yun naman talaga ang plano ng Panginoon sa atin eh. Christ-likeness. And that is prosperity, spiritually. It will be a blessed life. One key principle that we need always to remember: God wants to bless us. God wants to bless us. He longs to bless us. At nung ibinigay ni Jeremiah itong prophecy ito, he was reminding the people of Judah about a key principle that is still at work today, that God wants to bless us. Sometimes we see the blessings only after we've gone through some suffering. Meron po tayong mga experiences sa ating buhay at nung nakadaos tayo dun sa hirap na yon, sa pagsubok na yon, ano pong nasasabi natin? Anong lumalabas sa ating mga bibig? Sinasabi ba natin, pambira naman ng Panginoon? Napakatapat ko naman sa Kanya, pero mukhang hindi na ako makabangon sa hirap nito. O hindi ipinakita sa atin ng Panginoon ang Kanyang kagandahang loob. Yung bang lumalabas sa ating bibig? Hindi po. Kadalasan, pagdating natin doon sa dulo ng pagsubok, anong nasasabi natin? Kaya pala, ito pala ang plano ng Panginoon. Now I understand. Now I understand. And we are able to say, those were good times. Those were good plans. Naibahagi ko na sa inyo minsan ang storya nitong pastor sa China. A pastor in China by the name of Wang Mingdao, who spent 23 years in prison. In prison. Doon na siya tumanda. Never was able to exercise much of his gift in preaching and in writing. He was in prison for 23 years. Nung lumabas siya sa prison, ang kanyang testimony, when he was asked, what was it like in prison? Sagot niya, those were the best years of my life. It was my honeymoon with Jesus. And yet I'm sure during those 23 years, meron mga questions, meron mga doubts. He was asking God, Lord, why here? I am a gifted writer. I could do books, write books for your people, for the church. I was a gifted preacher. I could speak all over China and win souls for the gospel. But here am I, rotting in jail. Pero siguro dumating yung mga tanong na yun. The same way that those questions came in the mind of Job. Lord, why? Explain this to me. I cannot understand this. I have been faithful to you. Tell me, why am I suffering? Maybe dumating yun sa pag-iisip nitong si Wang Mingdao at dumadating yun sa atin. And yet, after those 23 years, Wang Mingdao was able to say, oh, those were the best years. Because 23 years in prison brought him in close intimacy with his God. Sabi niya, it was just between me and God and nothing else. I had nothing to write on. I could not write books. I could not preach because I was often in isolation cell. But but I got to know God better. Prison brought him to the intimate relationship that God desires from us. So when we turn to the right and do God's will and allow Him His Lordship, it does not guarantee a trouble-free life. But when we turn to the left and we disobey God in the same way that the Israelites disobeyed Him, we suffer the consequences. Every sin has a consequence. If we choose to leave God of our lives, when we continue to cling on to habits that we know brings displeasure to the heart of God, if God is calling us somewhere and we refuse to heed His will, frustration sets in, sadness sets in, pain sets in, ineffectiveness sets in, coldness in our relationship with God sets in, and worse, we do not get to receive God's best for us. And when we choose to do it our way and to live our own lives apart from God, discipline comes. At hindi masarap makatikim ng disiplina sa Panginoon. In the case of the Israeli nation, 70 years of captivity. God's discipline will come. But when God's discipline comes, we also remember that it is not meant to destroy us. It is not meant to keep us away from God. Rather, the opposite. The discipline is meant to bring us closer to God and to have that restoration. God does not take delight in seeing us suffer. He allows us to go through a period of refinement that only comes through discipline, so we can be more devoted to Him. Merong talata sa Hebrews 12, "My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline. He does it because He loves us. And He only has our best interest in mind, and God will not abandon." Do not lose heart when He rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the one He loves. Mahal tayo ng Panginoon eh. Mahal tayo ng ating Ama. Kanya niya tayo binibigyan ng disiplina. He chastens everyone He accepts as His son. And it is never easy to go through a period of refinement, di ba? But we must. Kung nandoon tayo sa sitwasyon na alam natin, we can honestly say to ourselves, yes, I've messed things up.